if you are a service provider finding yourself in need of a little bit of a serotonin boost and you would like some support and your Biz Fairy Godmothers to cheer you on, this is the episode for you. You need to watch this, listen to this, feel it in your bones, because we have some words for you, some reframes, some shifts of thinking, and really just some, we see you how you maybe don't see yourself. And so we want to share those insights with you. So
Yes.
we're going to share some really kind, cool, impactful things for you today. And I want you to be ready for it, accept the invitation for the amazing words that we're about to give you. Okay, are you ready?
I don't think they are. I think they're going to be uncomfortable. You're going to have a hard time accepting compliments. But here's the thing. It's because we genuinely care and no one else is saying this stuff to you. And so we just really, it's important to us that we pour back into you in the same way you've poured into us over the years. And I am ready for you to believe in yourself in the way that we believe in you.
Mm-hmm.
And so that means listening to the things we're saying and truly taking them to heart and allowing them to sink in and make an impact.
Yep. Okay, so we're going to kick it off at the beginning, and this is the mental shift that I need you to have also throughout this entire conversation. So that's why this one's number one. So I need you to close your eyes for a second, and I need you to know and feel it in your actual bones inside of your body, like your skeleton, like inside your body, that you are the absolute best at what you do. You are already an expert. You bring incredible results. You've got impact pouring out of you and waiting to land on the exact right, perfect, dreamy people. And you do not have to play small anymore.
No, you don't. You've spent years fostering relationships, growing your experience, really perfecting and working on your services so that they serve your people best, because you have a huge heart and you want to make an impact on people and you want to go deep and you want to really make sure that the things you're doing are helpful. And I see so many of you who are leaning into perhaps that a bit of people pleasing attitude. And it's okay to let some of that stuff go. You do not have to be everything to everybody, and you can really truly sit in that expertise and feel it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I want to talk about your goals, Goldilocks style.
Tell me what that means.
So the comparisonitis of even goals is rampant in any industry, but in this online service-based B2B industry as well. We look at what other people are aiming for, their goals for their business, their income, their family, their lifestyle, whatever, and we try them on for size sometimes. And even if they don't feel right, we keep them in the closet, right? We keep them as the extra pair of clothes that we think that we're going to put on one day. And I just want you to know that no matter how big or small your goals are, they aren't too big or too small. They are literally perfect and just right for you, like Goldilocks. And it doesn't matter if you want to make a shit ton of more money or you're looking to clean up your systems and your processes and your team and just looking for less stress and more time back in your day. Those things can correlate, and you can also just pick one. You don't have to have all of the audacious goals, and they can still be right and perfect for you and where you're at right now.
I think there's seasonality to this,
Yeah.
and these seasons can last a long time, a short time, a blip. You can feel good about it one day and change your mind the next. There's no right or wrong to this. But I encourage you to think about allowing yourself to let anything be true. And I really want you to be able to see an opportunity for you to step into these goals and let them be a potential reality for yourself. And I see this on both ends of the spectrum. Like the really big audacious goals are like, who am I to think I can do this thing and go after this
Or
thing
okay,
and
maybe in
pursue
5
this thing?
years.
Right. And then I do see this on the same token. I see people who are really so focused on all the small things, and they think, well, am I not trying hard enough? Am I
Right.
not going after things that are important enough? Like, is this goofy? Like, am I just a hobbyist if these are my goals? And like, I just think that's unfair. Like, why do
Mhm.
we have to quantify what's an appropriate size goal? And I promise you, men aren't out here judging the size of their goal. They're
Mhm.
not. And if it's a small thing, for them it's a little win and they move on with their day and it makes them feel good. But for you, you've like put all these like meanings behind what the size is, and I just don't think that's necessary.
No, I want you to feel comfortable and confident in the goals that you're setting that feel good for you. There's one version of, okay, I want to push you into believing that you can have more, and that's okay. And more, you get to decide what more feels like for you and what more
Hmm.
means for you.
Yes.
But it goes into my next point of there is absolutely opportunities to get more, whatever that looks like to you, more time back in your day, a higher contract value, more results, more happiness, whatever, by doing less.
Yeah.
And just because you don't know how to make that happen, and you can't maybe see the reality quite yet of that existing in your life, it is absolutely possible for you, and with the current skills that you have right now as you're showing up right now.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I really encourage you to let it be okay. Like, what would it look like to accept this version as like good enough?
Mm-hmm.
But like not in a good enough like you're settling, but as in like I can be at peace with this decision.
Mm-hmm.
Which, you know what? And I think oftentimes we are maybe a little more apt to do this in our personal lives, but like when we get into work, then it like we get weird about it.
Oh yeah.
But I imagine there's some things in your life that you've decided,
I don't need to
I'm
do
cool
that.
with this version. Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, here's a really solid example. I don't know why I always use mom examples when I'm not a mom, but whatever. It's easy for me to pull on. I have no idea why. I guess I think about my mom a lot, but you don't have to be the mom that like makes chef quality lunches, and you can still be a good mom. So
Mm-hmm.
like you can be okay with throwing a cheese stick in a bag and saying, "You're good to go, my friend."
Bye.
But like that doesn't make you less of a person. So why are you willing to believe that? But then over here, you like make up all these things about, well, if it's not this, then it's not worth it, or if it's not this version, then I suck, or I'm not good enough, or what.
Well, because being busy and being ultra productive in work is glamorized, and it's
Totally.
connected so much to our identities. So we know why you're doing it. And I'm here to tell you that it's okay to let that one go.
Yeah, like what would it look like? In the same way that you've let it go in other areas, it
Mm-hmm.
might not be lunches, but like I guarantee you there's something in your life you're like, "Man, I'm really okay with that not being true for me. It can be true for other
Yep.
people." But like let that seep into other places.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't make my bed in the mornings. I don't give a shit. What's the I don't make my bed version of your business?
Truly. Truly. Like, okay.
Sign me
Like
up.
you could just think about it. Send us a DM. Let us know what you're willing to just like, I'm okay with
I'm not
not
making my
doing
bed
this anymore.
today.
No.
I would love to hear it. Okay, I also want to let you know and hope that you're ready to accept this invitation of this possibility that
Mhm.
you are perfectly capable and it is possible to create an ethical, profitable, and ethically profitable and kick-ass business without driving yourself bananas. We've done it. We're figuring out how to continue to do it because it's not a we've done it and now it's perfect
You don't get to
forever.
check a box and move on.
That's not how
Just
that works. We've helped clients reshape, and reignite their businesses and continue to provide support in areas of seeking ethics, right? Seeking ethics in how we are a boss and a leader, and how we pay ourselves and our team, and how we choose to hire and grow and serve clients and set boundaries and bill and market everything, right? It touches
Mhm.
every aspect of your business, and it doesn't have to consume you and overwhelm you.
Yeah. And not only does it not have to consume you and overwhelm you, but you don't have to let it mean all these other things.
Right.
I think I've watched a lot of, like, if we were just to look at ethics for a second, if we were just to look at ethics, I've watched a lot of people get consumed with guilt around things they're not doing,
Yeah.
or things they could be doing better at. And I'm not saying you shouldn't pursue continuing to grow, like as a person, as a more like ethical boss. Like, yeah, you need to continue learning, but like, there's a point in which the guilt doesn't serve you
Yeah.
or anyone else.
Yep.
And so, my my therapist would say that, like, you having feelings for other people or situations, they don't help the other person.
Right. Right.
Like, so you being sad, frustrated, mad, angry, insert any emotion here, that doesn't actually do it. The things that do things are action, the
Yeah.
things that do things are change. And so I want you to be okay with, you're doing your best and you're continuing to improve, and like, let's drop some of the the unnecessary guilt around it. And but also, like, be willing to be better. And then on the profit side, I think so much of this comes down to, you've given money all of these meanings
Yeah.
that aren't necessarily real, because like, money is neutral, and we've talked about that before. But I know many of you are walking around with all these false beliefs that you were raised to believe them. You were literally continually told to believe certain things. And it's hard to let some of that go. But even though a lot of this is mental work, like, is work that you have to continue to do, you can do it in a way that's healthy and fulfilling,
Mm-hmm.
which is the point here.
Yeah.
You can do it in a way that's healthy and fulfilling, and not necessarily something that's all consuming.
Right. Right. Yes. And if you need help figuring that out, that's like literally what we do. So just send us a message.
What?
But speaking of figuring it out, a big, real big piece of this puzzle is really accepting and honoring that there are things that you don't know, and deciding
Mhm.
to be intentional to take time out to learn them, and not
Mhm.
just learn them, but then implement them,
And
because
get
there's a
support.
difference, and get support. There's a big difference. So taking the
Mhm.
time out of your day, your weeks, your quarter, your schedule. I know you're busy. You've got a lot of stuff to do, but taking the time to specifically learn, get support, get recharged is absolutely essential, if not like the biggest impact to the growth of your business and your mind.
Mhm.
You literally cannot do this alone.
Mm-mm.
And so you have to, that's like, I very rarely say you have to. You have to make time to invest in yourself. That looks differently for everyone. Some days it's going to be, did you shower? Do you need to go for a quick walk? Do you need to just like go to a coffee shop and work and get out of the office for a second? That's one version of recharge, right? And then it's recognizing that there's something that I don't know. I don't know how to do it. Using your amazing expert skills to seek the resources that are going to be most beneficial for that thing, and then choosing to be intentional about learning and implementing that resource.
Mhm.
Because we can just sit
Mhm.
here all day and not know the answer and then be mad that we don't know the answer. But if we're not actually taking action to solve that problem, it, it's just wallowing, right? And we're just ruminating on the issue. And that doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve your growth. It doesn't serve anyone. And I think there's this false belief that just because you started your business, that you should know how to grow it and run it and maintain it and
It's so
sustain it.
dumb. Yeah, okay. Of course, you might have had enough resources to know how to start it. You've been taught so many things over the, like, literally your parents sitting down with you at a garage sale or a lemonade stand when you're a child. Those are the kinds of things that prepare you to at least start.
Mm-hmm.
you know, like it may be foundational and fundamental, but like
Well,
I
and there
know
are
when,
just loads of resources out there for people who are ready to start.
well,
That's
yeah,
just
and
that's
it's
something
already,
to
they
create.
exist.
Yeah.
Yes, it's easy to I wouldn't say it's always easy to start, but for sure, you, the likelihood of you listening to this episode, you probably started,
Yeah.
okay? But the continuing to keep going,
Yeah.
I think we have to be so much less hard on ourselves that we don't always have the answer. And you don't have to know.
No.
And you can seek guidance, and the guidance can come in all different forms and fashions. And most people I know who are really good about honoring this, they don't get it all from one resource.
No.
Like they are reading books and reading research and like hiring consultants and hiring a coach
And
and
hiring a
they,
therapist.
yeah, working with a therapist regularly. And they're not necessarily saying all my eggs are in one basket in order to support myself, because you're
Right.
a human that needs support in lots of different areas, and there will be times when you need different kinds of support. And that's fine.
Yeah, and to me, the amount of the reason why it can feel like you're so alone when you hit the ceiling and you're growing your business and then you're like looking around asking for help and no one is there waving their hand, it's because truly, like, the amount of resources, like literally just googling the amount of resources will show you the vast difference of when you're starting your business and you're here, the amount of resources are vast, like the amount is so high, and as your business grows, the resources dip. And it's harder and harder to find the necessary thing that's going to be in alignment with what you need, with how you want to run your business, with your industry. And you have to be intentional about seeking those opportunities and listening for them when they do speak up, and really asking yourself, is this something that I feel like I am equipped to taking in, tweaking to be perfect for my needs and my business and my industry, and then grow and move forward from there. Dig around in that for a little bit.
Yeah, I definitely want you to be focused on that. I also want you to know that you have permission. It's not from us, by the way. This comes from within. You can pivot back to something you previously done before. You can change course. You can choose to go one way and then change direction, change paths, and it's okay.
Yep. Yep. Whether that means your offer, your price, your audience, your industry, the amount of time you're spending in the business, how big your team is, who you're hiring of contractors versus employees, if you're pushing out content or not, literally doesn't matter. There's just so many people, peers of ours even, and we've done this too, where it's you make a decision about something in your business and you think that that's how it's going to be forever. And what I have learned is that the more that I'm open that this is a decision that's working right now, and
Yeah.
and I'm trusting myself to pivot this decision when I see that it's going to need pivoted.
Yeah.
That's the thing that needs to stay the same, is the trust in yourself that you're going to find, understand, be decisive about what needs to be tweaked in your business. It's not bad that you're tweaking. It
Well, it's not bad that you're tweaking unless you're over tweaking to compensate for things,
right.
but like
That's a whole
that's a
other
different
conversation.
that's a whole other conversation. But I also want you to know, like, if you allow yourself to you fully sit in charge, and like I think a common thing I see in women-led businesses is they tend to want to push the decision outside of themselves on many things. Like it might be someone they hire, they try to push a decision on them. It might be a spouse where they're like trying to make a decision and they think they got there, but they want like buy-in from a spouse to think that it's okay to move forward one way or another. I've seen it come from friends that literally know nothing about your business, and you go out and you want their advice. Stop that. um you know, I do see the benefit of hiring consultants and coaches and allowing them to counsel,
Yeah.
but I get weary when people put so much value on the way they show up or like what they said that they completely discount their feelings to the point where they like, I've even seen people, myself included, so don't say it's not just other people, where you rely so heavily on their expertise that you're like ignoring like internal battles with yourself. Like in your gut, you're like, this doesn't feel right. And so why are you ignoring that?
Right. That's the inner expertise speaking, right? You can be guided, and then you still have to steer the ship, right? Like ultimately that's your role and responsibility.
Yeah, you can take in all the information. I'm not saying don't talk to other people. You often need guidance and resources.
And filter it.
It's like, do you really want coffee that like that you just there's no filter? Like, ew. Okay, maybe that was a bad example.
Just lick some coffee beans, why don't you?
Well, just like keep all those what does filtering do, guys? It makes things taste better. Period.
Okay.
All right. In all seriousness, I do want you to also know and believe that you can strategically build a team that doesn't just maintain the business that you've built, but one that does help you grow.
What? Newsflash.
Newsflash. And I know that doesn't sometimes feel real, or you're like, how am I actually going to get there? And it can feel like the only way you're going to get to the next level is if you make all these sales decisions yourself. But it doesn't have to be that way. I do think we have a habit of surrounding ourselves with people that allow us to run the ship. And so we need to be mindful of how are we allowing people to come into our lives that do aid in a direction. And sometimes that means getting people that are more strong-willed than you on your team. But that's a story for another day.
Well, and what I want to tell you is you don't have to know how this works and how to do this right now, here today. I just need you to believe that it is possible.
Yes, I want you to let go of the mindset that the team is only ever going to allow you to take things off your plate.
Right.
And that's just not true.
Right. I also want you to really consider and look at the fact that your priorities do not have to look the same as anyone else's. And here's the release that I'm asking you to give today. You do not need to feel guilty for prioritizing differently than the person next to you.
You just don't. And okay, so it really hit me the other day, because this is the thing. We can't ignore that our life is intimately intertwined with our work. Your life keeps happening. And so I saw this video of this woman saying for the first time, when I was like, man, I wish more people would like say this out loud, because I think it's important to recognize is, there's all this societal pressure to have children. And this woman has children, and she was talking about how she's jealous of people who don't have kids. And I want you to notice that it's not, you may have feelings about people with different priorities, and you're allowed to have those feelings. You're allowed to like question, oh, do I want to try that priority on for size for me, or do I want my life to look more like that? You are a human, and so you are inevitably going to want to look in all the areas and like wonder and try on. That curiosity is so important. And you are allowed to be firm, and that like the decisions you have made to this point are the right ones for you. And it doesn't mean that you did something wrong along the course. And like that is so hard. It
Mm-hmm.
is so hard.
Mm-hmm.
And especially when and it doesn't always have to be about work, because the life things so uniquely impact your work that I think it's, you can't ignore that that's affecting your attitude, how you show up, the time you have, all of those things. But when you allow your priorities to be yours, and you can start to let go of what society thinks you need to be doing, of what your friends think you need to be doing, of what your family thinks you need to be doing, you may lose some people along the way. You may lose some connections. You may lose some relationships. But I promise you, you will be happier because you're
Mm-hmm.
actually prioritizing the things that are important to you.
Yeah.
And it's some like deep shit, but like it's good. It is genuinely good.
Yeah.
Like, I can't tell you how much joy it brings me on a Saturday to like do nothing but bake. And like, there's so many other people out there that like can't imagine a life where their Saturday was only doing something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But like, that doesn't make my priority any less.
No, no. And I think ultimately what it comes down to is if if you are wanting to stop judging your own priorities, you have to stop judging others.
Yes, and that's maybe that's the harder part.
Yeah. Yeah. Mind your own business is basically what we're saying.
Mind your own, all of this is mind your own business and seek help and guidance and resources and therapy. Like, that's what it all boils down to. But no, I do think allowing yourself to love what you're pursuing does take a lot of letting go.
Yeah.
And like, not just not caring, because it's not apathy,
Right.
but it's truly,
It's not giving it permission to mean anything. It's
right.
releasing its meaning.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty cool thing to do.
Yeah, it is a pretty cool thing to do. I only linger here because I just think so many of you struggle with setting your own priorities. But I saw this other video where this hospice care worker was talking about this woman who's literally on her deathbed. And this woman had no children, and she was single, and she'd never married. And she was like in her last breaths, this hospice care worker like asked her again if she'd ever been married, and she said no, and like very dismissive about it. And then she said, have you ever loved someone? And she said, many times.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're, and it's easy to like pull on the kids and singleness and all that as a thing, because it is so countercultural, especially as a Midwestern woman. But I I say that because I want you to realize you're not necessarily going to be on your deathbed thinking wishing you had reprioritized all these other things. If you allow yourself to
Mm-hmm.
be okay with the fact that you prioritize differently.
Yeah.
Like, that woman prioritized her life differently her entire life.
Mm-hmm.
But because of that, she was uniquely happy in her situation. And it's different.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it's different. But like, what a cool story to be so uniquely like allowing yourself to just do what you want.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just think so many of us give this permission away. So anyway, I on the same kind of breath, I want to mention that there's also no right or wrong timeline for success, for your business, for your life, and you can go as slow or as fast as you want. And I think so often, in the same way that we're like trying to check boxes, through life, you probably made that like 5-year plan when you were in high school, and you're like, I'm gonna go to college and
Yeah, did you guys write that letter to yourself in school and your
oh,
teachers like mail it to you 5 years later?
yeah, except I don't think mine ever mailed
Mine
it, but
never did either. I think they just keep them. They want you to do it and they don't mail it to you.
I'm so rude, so rude. Or they probably like hated their job and left in a in some file cabinet. But anyway, regardless, you likely made a plan at some point, and the plan had all the things you were told you were supposed to be doing. Oh, you were supposed to go to school, you're supposed to fall in love, you're supposed to buy a house, you're supposed to have kids, you're supposed I mean, I'm assuming a lot of you have similar lists, myself. And then you wake up one day and you're like, what if my list is different? Like, what if I want different things on my list? What if I don't want it to be on the same timeline as everybody else? And I think if you decide to not follow the path that society's laid out for you as like normal and acceptable, uh, and this could be for so many different things. Like, it could be your sexuality, it could be like if you ever buy a home or not, it could be where you live or how you live, or I mean, there's so many things that aid into this. But like the moment you like one step off the beaten path, all of a sudden we judge this timeline, and it's like, why?
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think to get even more narrowly focused, it's literally within your own business that the
Yeah.
timeline is most held to judgment, right?
Oh,
Where
totally.
I cannot emphasize more the consequences of growing fast. And the more that I'm in this and the more that I am in business and the more people that we help, the the more stable, healthy, functioning businesses I see grow slower with intention. And I
Yeah.
think it doesn't mean that you can't intentionally also seek faster growth or bigger growth, like bigger results.
Or speed it up
Speed it
or
up, right?
slow
You
it
can you
down.
can you can turn those levers on literally whenever you want once you know what they are. But I think all of us start and grow and then seek the next like viral kind of moment for whatever that means to you. I don't mean like literally going viral, but like whatever that means for your industry or
Yeah.
your business. And we think that that's what we want.
Mm-hmm.
We set scenarios up to hope that like accidentally happens, but in reality, like the foundation of the business that we're building is built brick by brick, right? And
Mm-hmm.
those happen over time. And the amount of people that I get to know, peers, mentors, who had to do so much deep work and lesson learning in such a short amount of time because of the growth,
Mm-hmm.
it it's not as great as it's cracked up to be.
Yeah, there are ultimately challenges and advantages to going slow or going fast. And like we said, you can speed or slow down at any time, but also like I just want you to accept that the timeline is not wrong. And
Right.
like I know people who are a decade into business, and I sometimes I see them questioning themselves, and I'm like, damn, like no one could knock this over. Like,
Yeah.
you've built something that's so stable. This will continue to support you for the rest of your career if you let it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I watch other people who, and you guys know, I'm not talking about anyone in particular, but you know exactly what I'm saying. Where like someone's here, then they blow up, and then their business is profitable, and then they literally get canceled, or it all falls apart because they didn't do the self work, or they
Mm-hmm.
didn't have the steady foundation, or it was like built off of one viral, quote unquote, viral moment.
Right.
And you can only take advantage of that kind of thing for so long. And then what if you built a business underneath you that has costs, and now you can't bring in
Mm-hmm.
the income to support it?
Well, I was going to say you threw in the word profitable in there when it happens, and the majority of the time that big growth that happens, the sexy, flashy numbers and sales and whatever does
Yeah,
not
it's
bring
usually
profit.
not. It's usually not profit. It's usually a soar in revenue, but with really high expenses to be associated with it. And I also just, profit's important, and I have sung the praises of profit many times, but I also think and this is another conversation for another day perhaps, but I do think there's times when you can intentionally make less profit because you can create more stability
Yep.
with less profit
Yep.
because you have the more resources at your fingertips, but that also doesn't equate to you making major sacrifices personally
Right.
to do that. Like, you can still get paid and have less profit, which I think just goes over a lot of people's heads.
But we can help you figure that out.
We can help you figure it out. We can help you figure it out. Now, I want to kind of put a little T on across the T, dot the I's, and let you know that at the end of the day, you aren't meant to be everything to everybody. And if we can do more work so that we are more of ourselves and we are focused on providing what we uniquely need for ourselves and for our business and for our life, that so much of this, really all the things we talked about today, are beliefs, and like their beliefs in yourself, their beliefs in your own capabilities, their beliefs that you are enough, that you have enough knowledge, or you know when you need to seek it because you're allowing yourself to realize that this is somewhere you need to grow. Like, a lot of this, an exorbitant amount of this, for you to continue to build a business that's prosperous and strong and stable and ethical and all the things we talked about today, it takes a willingness to believe in yourself radically and be willing to grow continuously, because you can't stay the same person the whole time
Right.
in order to get to where you want to go. But there doesn't have to be a timeline on that. Like, you can set your own pace, and you can do this a little bit at a time, and it doesn't have to be all consuming. It will be sometimes. I'm not going to discount it and tell you that it's not, because it will be
Oh yeah,
sometimes.
this is easy breezy forever and always.
No, it's not. It's just not. You didn't sign up for that. If you wanted it to be easy breezy, you would have picked a profession that relied less on you personally providing your own salary and income. Okay, that's a lot of pressure. But truly know that at the end of the day, Emily and I and all of Team Boss Project, we have this deep belief in your ability, and we see truly how talented you are. We want you to be so successful, and we've poured so much time and energy to creating resources and tools for you to see these things in yourself, but then also have the tools to take it to the next level. Because once you have the belief, that's only the first battle. The mindset is the first battle. Then you need strategy, you need guidance, you need templates, you need to know the building blocks to get to the next stage. And that is where our team comes in. And I, with that being said, want to invite you to can't miss event. If you want to radically grow your mindset, this is somewhere you need to be.
Yep. You can grab your tickets right now at bossproject.com/conference. In just 2 weeks, we are hosting a one-day event, virtual, live, online, no pants required, but it's going to be absolutely epic. You can hear more about the session details, the agenda, what to expect when you get there, and get started on some pre-event homework that's really going to get you in the right headspace to take everything in on the day of the conference by heading to bossproject.com/conference.